Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 12 of the Idiotic Sports Talk. I'm your host, Liam Gavin, and today we're going to talk about UFC 253, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa, and man, what a card we have. Let's get into it. So the first fight on the main card is Hakeem Dawodu versus Zabaria Tukhugov. This is going to be a good featherweight matchup. Dawodu comes in at 11-1, and Tukhugov comes in at 19-4. Dawodu is on an impressive 4-fight win streak and is a dangerous striker. Meanwhile, Tukhugov has won his last fight by TKO, but 11 of his 19 fights came from decision. With that being said, I think Dawodu is going to win this fight via split decision. I think it's going to be a good fight, but in the end, Dawodu gets the win. Next is the women fighting between Ketlen Vieira and Sijara Eubanks. Ketlen Vieira is 10-1. She was on a 10-fight win streak before getting brutally knocked out in her last fight. Eubanks, however, is 7-4, but she's won 2 straight fights and has momentum and confidence on her side coming into this fight. Both women have great grappling. Vieira is a BJJ black belt, and Eubanks is a great wrestler. I think this fight is going to come down to who is the better striker, and I will say that Sijara definitely has the upper hand when it comes to striking. But with that being said, I'm having trouble picking a winner on this, but I think Vieira gets the win by split decision in a very close battle. The next fight is Kai Kara-France versus Brandon Royval. This is going to be an awesome bantamweight fight. Kara-France is 21-8 in the octagon, and Brandon Royval is 11-4 inside the octagon. Kai is definitely the more experienced fighter, as he's had a total of 29 fights compared to Royval's 15. Royval is more known as a grappler. Royval's last three fights have been won by submission, and one of those fights came over the tough veteran Tim Elliott. Kai does very well against grapplers, though. Kai has very good wrestling and very good striking in his game. However, I do think if Royval gets this fight to the ground, he's going to choke Kai out by submission or maybe even armbar him, because that's one of his favorite submissions is the armbar. I like to go with Kai Kara-France winning this one by decision, though. I think he's going to outstrike him, and I think he's going to do a good job of not letting the fight go to the ground where Royval's comfortable. Next, this fight's going to be an absolute showdown between Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. My prediction is that this fight is actually going to be better than the main event. Both of these guys are hungry to become the new light heavyweight championship, especially that Jon Jones is now out of the division. Reyes is 12-1, with his only loss coming against Jon Jones in a fight that was very close. People could argue that Reyes won that fight, and I really wouldn't disagree with them. Blachowicz is 26-8, coming off an impressive 3-fight win streak. 2 of those fights came from knockout victories over Luke Rockhold and Corey Anderson, and one of those fights was a victory over the legendary Ronaldo Souza. Both fighters have insane knockout power. Besides Alexander Gustafsson, Reyes was the only one to give Jon Jones trouble in that whole division. I expect this fight to be an absolute brawl. Both of these guys are never going to have to worry about Jon Jones fighting again, so I think that's a huge plus for them. And I think whoever wins this fight is going to run the UFC light heavyweight division for a long time. I think Reyes gets this win tonight in the 3rd round by TKO and becomes the new champ. This fight is the main event between Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa for the middleweight championship. Boy, oh boy, this fight is going to be intense. Both fighters enter the cage undefeated. Israel Adesanya has a 19-0 record, and Paulo Costa holds a 13-0 record. This is the first time since 2009 where 2 undefeated middleweights will fight each other for the title. The other fight was Lyoto Machida versus Rashad Evans. The hype leading up to this fight is real. Both of these guys do not like each other, and they want to prove to the world and to the entire UFC who the best middleweight is. Adesanya is the champ, while Costa is the challenger. Adesanya has impressive wins over Yoel Romero, Anderson Silva, Robert Whittaker, and Derek Brunson, while Costa has impressive wins over Yoel Romero, Uriah Hall, and Johnny Hendricks. This is such an interesting fight because there's no argument that Paulo Costa has a lot more power than Adesanya, but then there's no argument that Adesanya is the more well-rounded striker, and he's way more technical than Paulo Costa is, and he does have the precision and speed on his side. Costa is the only fighter that I've watched who was able to stand there and throw down with Yoel Romero. He even yet knocked Yoel Romero to the ground. That's something you don't see at all. Like, you never see Yoel Romero get knocked down to the ground. And the thing is, Paulo Costa was throwing bombs, and he wasn't gassing out. He showed no signs of getting tired as the fights went on. Adesanya is arguably the best striker in the UFC right now. He's a great counter striker. He reminds me of a modern-day Anderson Silva with how he moves, his head movement, how good of a counter striker he is, and how he uses his length and his reach to distract his opponents and not allow his opponents to get close to him. However, I don't think Adesanya has ever fought someone who is going to constantly pressure him and come at him with all this power that Paulo Costa plans on doing. 14 out of 19 of Adesanya's fights were won by TKO or knockout, while 11 of 13 fights that Costa's won has been by knockout or TKO as well. I have a feeling that Costa's going to win this fight. He's going to knock out Izzy in the second round and become the new middleweight champ. However, Adesanya has a very high fighting IQ and will be trying to avoid Costa's power at all times. And he has done that in the past against power strikers as well. If this fight does go the distance, I definitely see Adesanya winning by decision. But I seriously don't see this going the distance. I see Paulo Costa knocking his head off in the second round for sure. Either way, no matter what happens, us as the fans, we're in for a hell of a fight. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the show. That's it for today's episode. Thank you all for watching. And remember to follow my Instagram account at The Idiotic Sports Talk and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Idiotic Sports Talk, for a chance to win $100. I'm going to do a $100 cash giveaway for the first 100 followers I have on Instagram and the first 100 subscribers that I get on YouTube. So make sure you guys share and promote, like my page. I truly appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in and have a wonderful day.